The Five Nights at Freddy's Scott Cawthon drama inspired me to make this video because I'd never been exposed to the cult of personality around this guy for making Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, it also so happens David Dobrik has also made a comeback despite being, cancelled about 2 months ago for actually doing pretty awful things. And now he's come back like nothing has ever happened, to, I guess, the great pleasure of his fans. So today I want to talk about YouTuber and creator cult personality, which really allowed to sort of escape accountability for their actions, because a lot of these people just don't care what these guys have done. Now, I also want to talk about JonTron and that drama from about 2017 to show you how this stuff does kind of work, in that even if you say some of the most vilest, racist stuff, you can still make a comeback without really apologising, because your audience will probably forgive you. It feels like these days, in the age of so-called cancel culture, that no matter what you do, you'll always be forgiven if you just make a really rubbish apology, often non-apology. So we're going to talk about all this today. But before we get any further, a lot of my work on this channel is demonetized because when you're covering more serious, sometimes edgier topics, YouTube doesn't like this. So if you've ever enjoyed my work, please consider becoming a patron. And you don't have to pledge a crazy amount. I want to build up my Patreon based on as many people as possible pledging little amounts, like $1 or $2. So if you feel like I have ever brought anything that's worthwhile into your life and my content, please really consider becoming a patron to help me continue to do this, regardless of if YouTube monetize or not most of my videos in a given month. Also, if you want to join our communities, come check out our Discord and my subreddit. Those links in the description. And if you want to follow me personally, please check out the Kavernacle at Twitter, at Instagram, and also my personal Reddit, where you can keep up to date with all my content and what I'm doing. So thanks so much, everyone, for helping me hit 35k last week. I actually forgot to buy a chocolate orange over the weekend, but here's something you guys can help me with. How should I stack the oranges? So I'm getting one more. So for every 5k we get a chocolate orange. How am I going to stack them? Like, what is the best way? Because if I get the new one that's there, it just kind of looks kind of weird. I don't know. So in the comments, put how I should stack them. Also, I live stream 2 times a week, Tuesday and Thursday. Upload that on the Kavernacle Extra, and that is my stream archive channel. A lot of people ask me, why did you private the video? I never private videos after just uploading them. It's simply on the Kavernacle Extra. It was a stream. I made a video last Monday on the Scott Cawthon Five Nights at Freddy drama. To basically sum it up for you, it was basically revealed who he had donated to for the 2020 election cycle. He basically maxed out his political donations to some of the worst politicians in America. $5,000 for Mitch McConnell, $2,000 for Donald Trump, Devin Nunes, Kevin McCarthy. Now, why this was controversial, it's not just, a rich guy donating money, is that the Five Nights at Freddy's community has Scott deeply involved in it, like collabing with creators involved in that community, doing charity streams and stuff. And it also has a really strong LGBT element to that community. It's always been like a safe space for LGBT members, and some of the mods of the subreddit were LGBT and transgender. One of them actually resigned over this stuff. But basically, I made the video on it, and I got a lot of backlash in the comments from fans of this guy, and it's partly why I'm making this video today. So after this was discovered, he put out a non-apology, and I read it all last week, but I just want to read out the most important parts to me, where he isn't apologising. So he's basically saying the controversy is because I exercised my right and duty as an American citizen to vote for and support the candidates who I felt could best run the country for everyone. That's something I won't apologise for. Yes, I supported President Trump because I felt like he was the best man to fuel a strong economy and stand up to America's enemies abroad, of which there are many, even if there were candidates who had better things to say to the LGBT community directly and bigger promises to make. I believe their stances on the other issues would end up doing much greater harm to those communities than good. People don't want to discuss things with one another anymore. They want endless apologies and submission. People are expecting that will get neither from me. I'm a Republican, I'm a Christian, I'm pro-life and I believe in God. I also believe in equality and in science and in common sense, despite what some may say. All those things can go together. That's not an apology or promise to change, it's the way it's always been. So if you want to see the reaction to those comments, check out my video from last Monday, where most of the subreddit supported him, and the few people who were criticising him were getting downvoted, save for like a couple comments. And it's really not hard to see that this guy is very unapologetic, and it's a really, really flimsy thing to say. It's your right as an American citizen to max out your political donations to people who not only are opposed generally to LGBT people, but actually campaign on making their lives worse. And he's trying to play it off as like his right as an American citizen. Now, the differences with this guy compared to like a film director that you don't know, or, you know, Hideo Kojima or something like that, another game director, is that these guys aren't deeply involved with a community like this guy is. And this guy has cultivated a safe space for LGBT people, which is essentially boiled down to making money off the LGBT community, then funneling that money into furthering their oppression by supporting these politicians and trying to help them get re-elected. So he eventually has retired from the game, from the community. He's going to hand it over to someone else, which probably means he'll still make a lot of money off this stuff while shielding himself from the controversy. So he started the resignation talking about some picture someone drew for him, and he ends it with, "I have 6 kids now, I love them dearly, they are my whole world and my whole universe. I want to focus my attention on them, focus on protecting them, and spend my time making things for them. I only ask that my fan base respect the decision. I'll still be around, just not in the capacity that I used to be. What a blessed career I've had, what wonderful people I've met, and what tremendous blessing to have been able to know you all. Thank you so much." So yeah, he has retired, and probably going to continue making a lot of money of this community while avoiding a lot of the controversy. But like I said, I was exposed to this cult of personality around him that I really didn't understand, because these games don't even look good in the first place. But the way these guys will jump through hoops and twist themselves around, just trying to justify what he did like it's no big deal. So here's some of the comments on my own YouTube video. So the fact that we're even having this discussion is a massive invasion of privacy. There's a reason that people's voting records aren't accessible. Scott's donation records should have never been released. It'd be different if he was actually spouting out his political agenda, but Scott never wanted to speak on his politics. This is ridiculous. Again, such ridiculous logic. Because a guy doesn't, you know, use the Five Nights at Freddy's community as a soapbox for his political views, somehow absolves him of funding some of the worst political candidates in America who want to hurt a large section of the Five Nights at Freddy's community. So another one, politics isn't black and white. Just because Scott supports Trump and other Republicans does not equal him agreeing with everything they stand for. I'm a Biden supporter, but I support him because I believe he'll make the country clean and provide a safe space for all communities, not because I want other countries to be drone striked. I mean, this guy's a Biden supporter, so I'd say, like, if you're a supporter, not just a Biden voter, if you're a supporter, you are pretty much doing the same thing as Scott here, maybe not as bad. But of course, heavily endorsing candidates, not just begrudgingly voting for them, means you pretty much agree with most of their agenda. And if like Scott said, he believes in equality, why are you funding politicians who not only don't believe in that, like I said, are waging a war on equality? So one more, who he voted for or donated to are his business. Same goes for his reasons for doing so. Last I checked, this is America, where you have the choice to vote for whoever for whatever reason. Scott has never put any hints of his politics into the game, so y'all are specifically searching for stuff to be mad about. Should we interrogate you all for your voting or donation choices? It's just a really weird notion that, again, because the games aren't political propaganda for him, he shouldn't face any repercussions. Of course, he can vote and donate to whoever he wants. Doesn't mean that people can't be outraged. It's just such a ridiculous argument that voting should be private, donation should be private, and the most outrageous thing is they're not private anymore, not that he actually did these things. So this is the cult of personality, and if you go onto the subreddit now, thank you, Scott. You have other people saying he was forced to retire because of the violent left. Thank you, Scott, for Father's Day. Has a picture of him. Loads of upvotes to the award. Another guy, dear Scott Cawthon, I don't know if you will see this, but God made you special and he loves you very much. More artwork about him. So these guys clearly still like him despite what he's done. And he's retired, but he didn't actually have to, judging by how the community have reacted. And he can come back one day. 100% he can come back one day. And we're going to get into someone who did come back despite saying way worse stuff and doing way worse stuff than this guy did. So I believe wholeheartedly, because of the community acting like the drama isn't a big deal, he'll be able to come back one day. So JonTron is another one. Throwback to 2017. So JonTron is a popular gaming YouTuber. If you look at his channel now, I'm going to come back to this a bit later as well. 6.6 million subs. He doesn't upload loads and loads, but he does various other projects. But here you have, a week ago, 3.5 million views. A month ago, 5.6. 10 months ago, 8.3. So still a very, very popular YouTuber. I couldn't dream of views like that. And I especially couldn't dream of views like that if I said some of what he said and believes. And again, non-apology for this guy as well. So Game Rant has explained it all. So it all began on Twitter on March 12, 2017. Jafari posted an update defending the comments of incendiary Republican Iowa Representative Steve King. King is just, mask of fascist. Made a comment arguing against immigration, saying we can't restore our civilization with someone else's babies. The comment was widely criticised for being jingoistic and inflammatory, but found a defender in JonTron. He says, wow, how scandalous. Steve King doesn't want his country invaded by people who have contempt for his culture and people. Nazis. So this isn't just one-off tweet. He goes on and on. So Jafari followed up by saying this whole stupid system relies on rational people being shamed into shutting up. Glad to see that's falling apart. This follow-up caught the attention of Destiny, who had a debate with him. You guys might remember. It's pretty famous. Jafari's comment in this debate have made him the subject of discussion since. It was about a 2-hour debate. I'm obviously not going to play the whole debate for you. So here are some examples of what he said on it. So Jafari stated his belief that the United States of America does not need immigrants from incompatible places, and he voices concern about demographic displacement of white people, which he compared to South African apartheid, saying, if there is one American in America who doesn't see himself as strictly American, we have ourselves a problem, stated Jafari over the course of the debate. In particular, these beliefs stem from the perceived creation of ethnic enclaves of Mexican migrants, stating that undocumented migrants want to break off parts of America. Yikes. It was not just Mexican migrants that are mentioned by Jafari, however, the YouTuber also pushing forward with an argument that white people are aggressed against in their own nations, while stating that black Americans from wealthy demographics commit more crime than white Americans from poorer demographics, a statement that is worth noting that is unfounded. Jafari also argued against the need for further equality in racial grounds, stating that we've gotten rid of discrimination in our Western countries. Clearly haven't done a good job with all his beliefs that are insanely racist. So once again, these comments surprised many who followed JonTron. So he took to YouTube to help clear up some of his comments from the pressure of the debate, saying he wasn't prepared for it, and he was a bit of all over the place, saying lots of stuff that could be misconstrued in all sorts of ways. So this led him to taking a break. Maybe he was the first YouTuber who did this, have an insane controversy, and then slink away to come back later to a community that will welcome you with open arms. But I've just scratched the surface. If you actually watch the debate and watch his apologies, or so-called apologies, he's not very sorry. It doesn't seem like he's ever been sorry for this stuff. Obviously, he was pushing like far-right stuff like white replacement, white genocide. He was also quoting statistics from like Stormfront and far-right outlets like that. So this guy clearly has very extreme beliefs, or at least he used to. But let's remember, right, I'm 25. I think he's 31 now. This was 4 years ago. So he was older than me when he said all this stuff. So you can't give him the benefit of the doubt. It's not like he was 17 or 18 and some naive, dumb kid. This is like a fully grown man saying all this stuff. So, rightly so, actually, looking into this drama, the community he has on Reddit were really mad, and a lot of them just said they're never going to watch his stuff again. So a lot of credit to them. From the research I did, they were way better than the Five Nights at Freddy's community. Of course, maybe it is a bit easier because he's so explicit in his racism. But let's get into some of the comments that basically show a bit of a problem with this stuff and how these people view YouTubers. So 4 years ago, unpopular opinion, I don't give a f about his worldviews and will still enjoy his content regardless. Someone else, hey JonTron, you are awesome. Don't let relatives bring you down. They are overly political and believe wholeheartedly that you are a bad human being for talking about race. For me, I don't give a shit. Your entire purpose for me is to make those funny videos you make. You're very good at it, and I don't want some political rages on Reddit to stop the good things you bring to my screen. I'm glad John decided to do a proper statement. The flustering on the stream didn't help, and I'm glad this is going to be the end of the political shit from John. John said some fucked up things. That doesn't mean I hate the content he puts out. I disagree with his strange views, but I still respect him as a comedian and content creator. Dude just needs to keep his political rants in check. I hope this is the last mention of this show, and he goes back to doing what he does best. So with the JonTron stuff, it's not like it came out that he voted for Mitt Romney in 2012. He's like full on saying like ethno-nationalist, white supremacist talking points. And the extremity of the politics, to me, means if that's someone I like, or I thought I liked, I'm not going to watch their content anymore, because I'm going to be supporting someone who's basically doing Nazi propaganda for people. Again, not going to support them. And like I said, glad to see a lot of people rejecting this, but you see the problem even then. People saying they don't care. You can be mask off, fascist, I don't care, make me good content, and I'll keep watching. And it's like this weird relationship we sometimes have with YouTubers where they reveal so much of their personal lives to us and they sort of like welcome us into their personal lives. And then we feel like we know them. But then on the other side of the coin, other people think you can just like separate the art from the artist. And I don't think YouTubers are a good example of art because their whole content comes from their personality. If their personality has extremely toxic political views about people who may be watching their content, I think that's far different. Like with Scott Cawthon, if you want to play Five Nights at Freddy's, that's fine and stuff. But if you're part of this community, that's where the problem lies. I feel like with YouTubers it's a lot different because the content they make is completely personality based. And when they reveal their personality to you, I think it's problematic if you still like them despite this. Now, someone brought this up a bit later. So about, last year someone said, was it common knowledge that John was a racist and no one told me? Or is this just surfacing? Now people, years later, on the subreddit, seem like they don't care at all. So, cancel culture can suck my d. John's already got flat for saying some dumb shit. And here we are again. People really need to learn to let shit die. This again, imagine thinking someone is a white supremacist, even though they've never said or given any indication that they believe white people are superior to other groups of people. Take that misplaced outrage to Twitter, they'll love you there. I don't think he's a racist. Make what you will of his political views, but cancelling for them is stupid. Can't believe people still think John is a racist. Everyone took that one thing way out of context, and John even apologised afterwards and explained that what he said was not what he meant. Redditors and Twitter nerds never give up because of his unhealthy obsession with being vigilantes, even though the best weapons they have are downvotes and being annoying. So even the comments I read out are like not just like throwaway comments, like random political takes. It's not like he was talking about like free market capitalism versus socialism. He's actually doing far right propaganda. But this is the problem with YouTube, right? The longer it goes on, the longer you just act like nothing happened, people forget. They not only kind of forget and forgive, they also say to anyone who brings it up again, get over it, you're dumb. Despite this guy addressing the controversy but not really apologising. So he's not like grovelling before us. So I'm hoping with my community, if I started spouting off like far right talking points, I'm hoping most people wouldn't be like, well yeah, Kavernacle still makes good videos, even though like I don't agree with his political views. They're his own views and cancelling him for them are stupid. Now let me watch his, personality, political driven content. It's not something you can really separate on this platform. Like I said, it's not so much like the Scott Cawthon's work of art or like Hideo Kojima's work of art or any director who is extremely controversial. Like Chinatown is a very good movie. Roman Polanski is a horrible, horrible person. But if I was watching Roman Polanski's YouTube videos where he plays video games or gives opinions and stuff, then you cannot separate his toxic personality from that. Now let's talk about this in real time, because here is a YouTuber who is doing this in real time. David Dobrik has made his comeback only 2 months later after all the controversy came out about this guy. So he's showing you in real time how you do this. So his controversy, where do you even begin with this stuff? Now one thing is he used like this digger to swing one of his friends round, and he was driving, one of his friends called Jeff, and this was on Hold My Feeding Tube. So what happened to the dude? Cracked skull, broken arm, detached retina. So he did this, like totally irresponsible. And he has a history of doing like really irresponsible stunts with like Tesla cars as well. So he's really like doing dangerous stuff anyway. But then you have other stuff, like this guy called Seth came out and talked about how David essentially wouldn't pay him for work. He had to beg him to be paid, and I made a video about like how YouTubers are bad capitalist bosses.
Only after you asked him, like, dude, you got to pay.
Only after I told him, like, seriously, like, bro, like, I don't know if I could pay my rent this month because I was relying on one situation to basically help me move into a new place, which is literally what
my God.
Was. And then he's arguing with me about giving me the money.
So yeah, David wouldn't pay him for work. So this is another one showing that David is a bad person. And the worst one was that David makes like these vlogs of him and his friends. One of them contained one of his friends having a threesome with 2 girls, and even bragged about this, saying that he gave his friend his first threesome. How mature these guys are.
Yeah, my buddy Dom made an Instagram story, and he's like, I want to have a 5-some tonight, hit me up. And this girl hit him up, and she's like, I have friends. And she sent over all her friends' Instagram links. And he's like, yeah, come through. And 7 of them ended up showing up. And then they all, they were, when they all got there, they were like, oh, no, I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have sex. And then.
Like blatantly in front of everybody.
Yeah. Well, they didn't want to have sex, except 2 of the girls wanted to have sex. So he just ended up having a threesome, which was still his first threesome, and it was very exciting for him. So
well, you guys sent like 3 of your friends in to confirm it was happening.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he didn't have sex with them unless we saw it with our own eyes.
Turned out that the girl was actually extremely drunk and didn't consent. She then accused the guy of rape, but people were mad at David Dobrik because they believe he facilitated this, and he was friends with a well-known creep who did this. And then, of course, he was bragging about giving one of his friends this threesome, and there was a lot of alcohol involved in this party, despite the girls being under 21. So this is all, like, really controversial stuff. Can you imagine if this stuff came out against me, for example? Do you think I could make a comeback in 2 months? Do you think people would accept me doing that in 2 months? But these YouTubers who are extremely popular, they foster such a cult of personality that people don't even care about this stuff. They don't care about his awful behavior. They don't care about him being an awful boss. They don't care about him doing dangerous things that have got his friends injured. And yeah, he lost a lot of business. He got, multiple sponsorship deals terminated. Loads of people didn't want to associate with him anymore. But then he just comes back in 2 months. Like, nothing happened. And even worse, he made an apology on his second channel, which was rubbish, basically saying he needs to do better, not very upset. And then he makes another video on his main channel where he's like crying, talking about how bad he is. And it goes to show this guy didn't actually care about what he did. He cared when the sponsors started pulling out and everyone started saying what an awful guy this guy was. Now, he has uploaded a new vlog called Surprising My Friends, and this is a year after he uploaded his last vlog. So basically, he got famous for doing these 4-minute vlog videos. His fans really love this stuff. So, cynically, he's making one of these new ones because he knows that's what the people want. 2 months ago, this stuff happened. I covered it on my channel. 2 months and a bit ago, all this stuff came out about him, and he's back. Look at the comments in the video, the top ones. I've never clicked on anything so fast. The amount of happiness I felt hearing that, are you vlogging right now? Yes, we are. And seeing that every Tuesday at the end of the video gave me an overdose. Bro, this is the happiest day of my damn life. Glad to have you back, bud. It's strange to watch this after everything. Yeah, it is. But as soon as I get drunk and crazy, it just feels right. I've missed this more than everything. The way this made me happy, like I haven't smiled in so long. I'm so happy. Nothing changed. Exactly, nothing's changed. Let's go. Never laugh so hard. So here is a guy coming back like nothing's happened after loads of controversy. And this is what the YouTuber cult of personality enables you to do. Come back like nothing's happened. If you address the controversy, apparently that's good enough. Even though his apology was awful. Even though that Scott Cawthon didn't apologise and his cult still defend him. JonTron didn't apologise. Still very, very popular. David Dobrik, rubbish apology. Had to do a second apology because it was so bad. And it seems like it was only motivated by self-interest. All his fans love it. And like some of them say, this is weird. But after I started watching it, it's great. I've missed this so much. And these guys just don't care. And that's so concerning to me that these celebrities and especially YouTubers constantly reveal themselves to be bad people. And they don't have to work hard at all to come back. Like I said, he lost sponsors. But think about in a year's time. He's going to have all these videos up, loads of money on YouTube. New sponsors who won't care. Because now the audience don't care anymore. So the sponsors don't care anymore. They can get their product on his channel, on his Instagram. Because now the outrage has died down and he acts like it never happened. Then the brands don't care anymore. And this is something you see more in the online space than I feel like traditional celebrities. Because people like Kevin Spacey, I fully believe, are going to make a big comeback, right? But the general reception to someone like Kevin Spacey is most people hate him. And what he did is so far beyond acceptable. And there's lots of different actors like that. And I feel like in mainstream Hollywood working stuff, that people actually do have to go on a bigger hiatus and actually suffer for being a bad person or making really bad decisions. But with YouTube, it feels like you don't have to do this. And I don't know if it's related to like gaming vlogging channels where the audience are maybe younger and more naive, or if it's just a problem that if you make content based on your personality, people think they know you very well. So therefore, when you do these half-hearted apologies, or maybe when you're David Dobrik and you start crying in one of them, they feel really bad. Maybe they put themselves in your shoes. Maybe they feel more empathy because they feel like you're their friend. And it's probably easier to forgive a friend than it is to, forgive a celebrity. So they're more willing to accommodate this stuff. And like you saw with the Scott Cawthon stuff, or you saw the JonTron stuff, these guys will just make ridiculous excuses for these people. Like they are their lawyers or something. They can't just acknowledge their behaviour was bad and they might not watch them anymore. And it feels like this just allows them to really not be accountable for anything. And it makes the whole thing even worse. I think David Dobrik was a bad person anyway. Like, I've criticised him in the past for his actions and how he treats his employees. I think he's a bad person anyway. And just the other stuff on top of that, in my mind, means you should at least go away for longer and come back with like another apology and really explain to me how this happened, how you allowed this to happen, and how you've changed. That is something I would respect from these YouTubers a lot more. Go away for longer, reflect on it a bit longer, come back and explain what you've learned and explain how you changed. If we're going to accept you back, which a lot of people will, why don't you just make it more apparent that you're sorry, if you actually are sorry? And that's why it's hard to believe these people are ever sorry. Because, like with David Dobrik, 2 months, come back, act like nothing's ever happened. Act like you've never done anything wrong. Act like nothing you did was ever controversial. Let's just get back to normal. Let's pretend it never happened, guys. And it works, sadly. You've seen from all these comments, this stuff works. I have no take what can make this better, but please, with YouTubers specifically, who make content based on their personality, don't think about it like an artist thing. Like I said, this isn't Roman Polanski making Chinatown. Lovecraft making his stuff, which people love, and he was an awful person. That is understandable, because people who are bad can make good art. YouTubers don't make art. They make personality-driven content that really is preying on you feeling like you know them because they're showing a vulnerable side, they're showing a personal side. Or people like Scott Cawthon, who you can separate his political views from the art. Go enjoy Five Nights at Freddy's, don't feel bad about that. But at the same time, if you're involved in this community where you're upholding him as like this personality despite his awful things and not recognising his awful political donations, then you're also part of his problem, and you cannot separate that stuff. So anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are there any other examples? If you want to support my work on Patreon, check it out in the description. If you want to follow me on social media, at the Kavernacle, on Twitter, on Instagram. If you want to join our communities, Discord and subreddit in the description as well. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.